It is possible with the program to take raw data files and extract particular areas of interest. This is done in the following way. We can first load a data file. Note that the work directory under the main directory contains the extracted braking test files. We provide you with the raw data files in a work raw directory. So if we select that, we have all the raw data files. We'll choose 957. So the naming convention, there is a prefix IMU, and then we have the date and the time. And this is displayed in a more readable way on the top left of this screen. So we have the date, time, and the file size to give you an indication of how much data is there. If we accept this, it will be loaded, and we can see a trace along the pit area on the test track. We right click to zoom window to isolate the test section, and we can see the braking test. If we then look at the velocity chart to have a look at what we have here, what we notice is the test area on the right side, and we can see that would have been a 40 km/h braking test, but the system has recorded in this raw file quite a lot of information which isn't relevant to us. So what we'd like to do is isolate just the braking manoeuvre shown on the right hand side. So if we close this velocity form, we can isolate the braking manoeuvre using the path command. If we select path, we get a display at the lower left of the screen. What we can also do is, in analysis point size, we can make the points a bit smaller to make life a bit easier for us, and we can also pan the screen by pressing the middle mouse button and dragging the screen into position. Now effectively, based on our velocity chart, all these cyan points at the bottom of the screen are virtually stationary or very low speed, and we'd like to get rid of those. So the way we do that is we pick one of the points, and we've highlighted a point. It appears in dark blue. We can actually zoom in there to make it a bit clearer. That point is now highlighted, and we can, in the path screen, hit select, and that will display the information for that particular point: latitude, longitude, altitude, velocity, heading, and the number of satellites which are visible to it. GPS requires a minimum of 3 satellites for a 2D fix, 4 satellites for a 3D fix, and any additional satellites after that improve the accuracy. We would expect to see 10 to 12 for a good set of data. At this point, we've picked a point. We have just to the left a left and right arrow. If we pick the left arrow, we actually select the previous points, and the data on the display here is changing. We're interested in the velocity, which is currently 6.8 km/h. If we keep clicking left, we can see it's reducing, and we want it to hit nearly 0. 0.1 is effectively nearly 0. Once we've reached that point, we've isolated a location which is the starting point of the braking profile we want to keep. So we hit select or set start, and we remember that point. We then repeat the exercise by going to the main screen. We'll pan down a bit to find towards the end of the braking test. We will again pick a point. We'll then select to get the current data for that point displayed on the screen, and again we look at the velocity, which is 24. Again, we now want to pick the right arrow button to move forward until we again hit 0, which is the end of the braking test. So if we slowly pick those points, we can see the velocity in this box is coming down. 0.3, and we're at 0. We hit set end. We've now defined the start and the end points of the path we want to keep. We We then hit Save Path. We get a dialog box which will save the data to our main working directory. So we might just call this test1. We save that, and that is saved in the standard format. It gives us a prompt as to what the input and output file names will be, and the start and the end times of the section we've cut. We say OK. That data has now been saved. We can close the path definition box. We go up to Files again just to check the data. We hit New to clear the screen, and then we have the directory. We find test, we accept, and then we look at the velocity chart, and what we can see here is that we've cut out all the extraneous information. We now just have the section of interest to us. We can then close that, open the acceleration chart, and there's our acceleration profile. If we cut the G1 and GZ out of the screen, we can see our acceleration at the beginning of the chart, and then going down to constant speed, just varying the speed, and then we have our braking peak. And at this point, the braking peak is 0.779 G. And as with a lot of these, there's a peak value, and then the braking continues, but at a slightly lower level until the vehicle is stationary. So that's how we cut isolated sections out of the larger recorded data.